There's something about this frog that just jumps out at you. Yes, I intended that bad pun. I found him irresistible and think you will too. In this video, I'll give you step-by-step directions on how to use your scroll saw to make your own Freddy the Frog. Let's get started. I purchased the plans from toymakingplans.com, and I'll leave a link to their site in the description. The download will give you PDF files to print for a scroll saw, but you may have noticed the title also says it contains files for CNC. I don't have a CNC machine, but I am thinking about buying one. Plans call for 1-inch thick material. I had a piece of popwood that was about an inch and an eighth thick, but it was a little rough anyway, so I ran it through the thickness planer and brought it down to 1 inch. The piece was long enough that I was able to fit 3 frog patterns on it. Since I run a woodworking business, I usually build several at a time for any project, as it is much more time efficient. When you look at the plans, you'll see there's a left and right side. The instructions give you an option of making each side of 1/2-inch material, then gluing them together, but I'd rather avoid that step. But if you use 1-inch material, as I did, you'll still need both patterns. You'll see why in a little while. You'll need a drill or drill press for this project. The first step is to drill 5/16 holes through the frog body to accept 1/4-inch axles. I used a thread point drill bit and a wasteboard as a backer to avoid tear out on the back. While I had the 5/16 drill bit in the press, I made the axle holes in 1/2-inch thick legs. Since I'm making 3 frogs and each frog has 4 legs, that was another dozen holes to drill. This might have been a good place to insert a joke about frog legs, but unfortunately, I don't have any. The next step is a little tricky. The plans call for 7/16 holes 1/8 inch deep for the frog's eyes. I didn't want to fool around setting up the depth stop for just 3 holes. I can't do the other side just yet. You'll see why later. So I did them just by eye. An exact depth isn't critical, so this worked out. There is one last set of holes that need to be drilled. I guess you could say this part of the project was boring. I chose a 1/4-inch Forstner bit to make the 9 holes on each side of the frog's body. I just used the side of the bit to judge the depth for these. If you don't have a Forstner bit, you can use a regular bit and mark the depth with a piece of masking tape, or you can use the depth stop if you have a drill press. There are no straight lines or angles on the frog's legs, so just pick a spot to start cutting. Okay, I couldn't resist. I looked up frog's leg jokes on the internet. There were a lot of them, but I'll only share one. I was at a French restaurant and asked the waitress if she had frog legs. She said yes, so I said, wear long pants and no one will ever know. Okay, that's enough for the frog jokes. The frog legs are 1/2 inch thick, so I recommend a number 7 Pegas modified geometry blade to cut them. There is a tiny rough spot where I started and ended the cut, but that can be smoothed out with a little bit of sanding. The frog body is 1 inch thick, so I need to remove the number 7 blade and replace it with a larger size. I could probably use a number 9, but this is a simple shape, so I went with a number 12. I generally use the largest blade size possible because this usually means I can cut faster. But if your preference is to use the smallest blade possible, you can work that way. One of the advantages of the Pegas scroll saw is the fast blade changes. The top and bottom chucks both have thumb screws for tightening and loosening the blades. 2 previous scroll saws I owned both required tools to change blades, and this was a welcome change from that. With 3 frog bodies laid out on one board, it would have been a little awkward to work with that size, so I went to the bandsaw to cut them apart. I moved the speed up to the limit, then made the cut. This is all one long curve, nothing difficult. Just let the blade do the work. The 3 frog bodies are cut, but there's still some work to be done on the second side. If you remember a few minutes back, I told you the patterns for the right and left side would both be needed. I cut the second pattern side out, a bit rough I might add, with a pair of scissors, then used a glue stick to attach it to the second side of the frog body. I flipped it over here to show you what the completed first side looks like after the holes are drilled. Now I have to go back to the drill press to make the 7/16 holes for the eyes, as well as the 1/4-inch accents. Once that's done, I'll glue on the legs and head to the paint booth. Here's the completed Freddy Frog. I can't help it, he just makes me laugh. You should download the pattern, the link is in the description, and make one or more of these soon. Some child will love playing with him, and most adults will get a chuckle out of him. You could even look up some frog jokes on the internet to make sure. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next project.